Right, hello. So, hopefully people get the notification list. I've just had dinner. I thought I was going to be a bit late tonight, but actually wasn't. So, there's that. So yeah, I thought I'd just do a stream of the UV lighting turned on again. There's absolutely no theme for this other than don't talk about offensive shit to people, basically. But yeah. I haven't got any videos filmed today because just been too busy today. I'll get a video filmed tomorrow for Sunday because I'm a few videos ahead. But right, Miss Valadez. Right, Mike. So yeah. Now my mum's back. I have actually missed my mum's cooking. That is definitely a thing. Right, Peach. All right, Stug. Yeah, so not much to report from me other than, I've been listening to the radio today, playing games. Ultraviolet Band A, as in blacklight style UV, the stuff that makes stuff glow in the dark. That's a good price for it, Gabriel. Is it in working condition? That's good, Peach. I'll make sure I check that out at some point. Yeah, I think UVA looks good, doesn't it, in terms of looking very 80s, especially when there's like that glowing helmet down there. I don't know if all that's true, Mike. No more takeaways. That won't happen because my mum likes takeaways. Microwave food, I'm sure that will still happen. Excess booze, I think pretty sure everybody in this house drinks. Yeah, Quantum Science Inc. from quite a few videos ago, but thank you for when you donated a few videos ago. I appreciate it. At the moment, I've still got loads of stuff that's pending delivery, just, with all the delays in transit going on. Yeah, so as I said, nothing really interesting to report at my end. Obviously, talk about any kind of surplus stuff people want to. All right, Nitrous? Haven't seen you on in a while. In the 60s, the Soviets would have used cringy kit. Was it called something like SH-66? Unfortunately, the strange smell of Soviet suits you're not really going to get rid of. It's like the old weird rubber smell. My Soviet OZK suit I've actually got stored in the garden now, just because the smell is too strong when inside the house. Cool. SSH-40s are very good for when they were made. If it's a Tai Chem 1, that's not really a hazmat suit, is it? But cool enough, I suppose. There's no way of knowing, Dave, without really having any of the resources to know. Is it a visible UV light or is it invisible UV light? I'm sure there is shed on fire, but off the top of my head, I can't really think. There's loads of stuff that I see and think, oh, I'd really love some of that. I mean, I'd love a US CDV 718, but they're like, impossible to find. All right, Eltrix. How did they reconfigure it then, Mr. Jackpot? Did they change what the inlet valve or what? The really big ones you can get on Amazon, which are kind of like a strip of them on like a projection type thing. It's hard to explain, but it's like 2, 4, 6, 8. I think it's 12 separate bulbs, and they're all separated, like an inch apart from each other on the strip. So you plug it in, and then you can angle it. So the good thing is I can set mine up at an angle so it shines on that wall there. It's much better than having individual UV bulbs. Because obviously the problem is with, like, say, for example, UV lamps like these sort. Just get this one unscrewed in a moment. The problem with like UV bulbs like these is they don't shine a light very far. So the modern UVs are much better in that regard. These sort of things only illuminate sort of a rough area around the bulb itself. I've not got an actual US Pasca helmet nitrous. I've got the British Armed Police equivalent, like licensed copy of a Pasca, but I've not got an actual US Pasca. I've got a US Pasca vest though. As said, Eltrix, mine didn't come with the full kit, and I don't even know where mine is at the moment. I've sort of done videos like that before, Herazmu, not as top 10 for beginners, but I've done top 10 videos, and I've done good masks for beginners, so it would feel very sort of recycly to do the two combined. That's cool, bots. Enjoy your shooting. What are you going to be shooting? An AR or what? Or an old bolt action or what? I'm interested. He has an S10 or something that looks very much like an S10. Weirdly, some bodies in the game also have Finish M61s on them. They actually look more like Finish M61s than US M9s. Ah, cool. So it's not just one gun you're shooting a few. You don't know what the S10 is, Caden? That's sacrilege. Speaking of bolt actions, though, as much as I can't show it in frame because of YouTube's stupid reasons, I'm sure we can still appreciate the noise they make off frame. So let me stand back here to the point where it's not quite in frame, and then yeah, lovely noise. And that's a 130 odd year old action on that one. Still works pretty well. Ooh, it fell over. Never mind. Yeah, I still find it very strange that things like Schmidt's Rubin rifles are perfectly UK legal, but things like the Lee Enfields aren't. Like, what the fuck? Who makes laws like that? That's a good price for an MUA. So, what, can you just not fit a GP5 full stop? There's so many things I want to arrive in the post that are still just being very slow that's annoying me. My digital ionization chamber from the US, which is something I've wanted for like yonks, and then it's like when you finally find one for a good price on eBay, of course it gets stuck in postage. My US CDV 717 is stuck in postage somewhere. My wine delivery isn't really moving forward at the moment. There's loads of stuff I've got at the moment which, you know, should be arriving. It's just not. That sounds like it's raining. Yeah, it's raining. Yeah, it's quite a lot English Dalek of old tank crew masks. The US made a lot of specialised tank crew masks. Hard to say at the moment, Altrix. It's more going to be as I dig through them, am I going to go, oh, I want to keep that or not? Yeah, I like it when it rains, Miss Fella does, because it's nice sound on the roof. That's the reason I like it when it rains. I don't like it if I'm stuck out and it's raining, but... FM53s look really cool, but I don't have one. Yeah, I don't know if anybody has an interesting thing they want to talk about on this stream, because I've not really got any kind of discussions planned. I did find it interesting from that recent political video. Some people were saying I'm like a BNP member, which is like the British Nazi Party, basically. I know it doesn't stand for that, that's essentially what they are. And there was also other people saying like, you know, like, oh, you're some sort of lefty parasite, all this. And it's like, it's amazing that you can say one thing in one video and people come to complete opposite conclusions of, I've not seen any of the trailers for Last of Us 2, if that's what you're on about. If you've got a question, ask it. I suppose it depends what you're doing in a rainstorm. The thing is, it doesn't bother me if I'm out in clothes that will dry quickly in a rainstorm. It just more annoys me if it gets really heavy rain and it just inconveniences you and makes you wet. I do not have a gummy mask, and you'd have to ask other people if they're willing to sell one. Quantum Science Inc., did you tell them? I don't know what you'd actually say to them other than, why are you bullying me for collecting masks? Enjoy your coronavirus. Oh, you're probably on about the MSA Millennium, your man. Yep, weirdly shed on fire. The government keeps saying, oh no, due to corona lockdown, you can still apply for a gun license, even though our websites aren't working. That's cool. I don't have the one as late as that. I've just got the regular DSPA or DPS, whatever it is, 68. It still detects background radiation because it's the same range, isn't it, on all of them? It's like the milli Rontgen range on every single one, but because it looks cool. That's why there's a UV light in the background. What do you want it to detect, WG? In terms of top radiation range, the DP3 does a higher range. In terms of background radiation, by a mile, the DPS 68. Yeah, DP3 is for basically 100 millirontgen to 500 Rontgen range. That one is basically millirontgen to 200 Rontgen. So for most people, DPS 68 is better, but the DP3 is a lot more tough, you know, because it's made by the Soviets, not the Poles. I said it's like some 12 light UVA spotlight. Wow, kind of like party light, kind of disco light. I don't know what you'd call it, but yes, I've got a Brody helmet. I've got two. Well, technically, I don't know if they're Brody helmets. They're probably British Mark II helmets, but Doughboy helmet would be the US name for it, wouldn't it? Yes, I've got two of these. I've only got one liner, so you can swap the liner between the two helmets, but you can't have both with a liner in at once. Where's the back of this? I'm trying to find the band. There we go. Yeah, I've got a Brody helmet. Yeah, they're very good with LED bulbs, aren't they, Maglites? The Chinese pewter mask, I would say, is the worst mask I own. That was from eBay yonks ago, and sadly I've never seen another for sale since. But yeah, so when it comes to reading radiation levels, the most practical counter you can probably get on the surplus market, is in actual old surplus counters, is these Soviet DP5s. or DP5 series, because they have various ranges. And the lowest range is in millirontgens, and it's literally background levels of millirontgens. So when that warms up, you'll see that basically you can use this just to detect background radiation. Let's plug the speaker into this, just because it sounds cool. If I can work out in the dark where the there we go. But yeah, DP5s are probably the best of the old Geiger counters in terms of practicality of using them. And obviously DP5 Vs are much more practical than DP5As in terms of the electronics inside. But... oh, that was close. Well, weirdly, there's lots of old pictures of people using DP5s of GP5s, you know, because they were old Soviet civil defense gear. Anyway, we'll flick this off now. But the range you really never want to see the needle move on is this one. Once I reset it to 0, of course. Because this is the 200 Rontgen range. So if the needle's moving on this one, that's pretty worrying. I will at some point, someone, but I don't know exactly when. The DP5A was close to £100. I think it's actually more like £80 for just a counter on its own, as you see it. The DP5V with a complete kit minus the actual wooden box was more like £70. The A's are more expensive and not as good, but if you like retro technology, you'd want to get the A. Anyway, let's flick this off. In case you're wondering, that's the carry satchel that makes this look a bit bigger than it actually is. The counter itself is pretty tiny. But yeah, if you compare these size-wise to things like US CDV 700s, they're pretty damn tiny. Assuming they're all turned off, because most aren't kept on 24/7. Oh, this isn't my bedroom, is it, Daniel? I reckon a lot of people, Mr. Jackpot, will just sell their masks off at the shortest notice as soon as everything's over. Well, wasn't it a trooping the colour with social distancing, though, when they did it the other day? I don't know, Despacitio. Why don't you ask people who might know that, not me? Because I don't see the point of spamming a question I can't answer. eBay for the most point mini clamp if you're buying second-hand body armor. There's a few sites that sell brand new fitted body armor, but they'll be very expensive. You want to ask that to people that we're not going to get a UVC stream is the answer to that. I don't know what nations did flak jackets with plates. In terms of regular flak jackets, my collection, impossible to know with everything in total. I've just realised now it's started raining, I might have to go close the skylight, because I bet if I don't do it, nobody else in the house is going to do it, and then they'll complain to me that there's rain coming in. So what I'll do is I will be back in a moment. I am just going to go see if I need to close the skylight, because I bet, as I said, if I don't do it, nobody else will. So back in a minute. Right, good thing I checked. It was coming in. No, you're not, Mike. It's me today. Right, is there any questions or anything interesting to discuss on this stream? I think I really need to have streams, don't I? Or I think of more themes to discuss the entire stream, because otherwise nothing really gets asked and it becomes very much, do you own this? Do you own that? I've done videos on how to maintain masks, Roland, but they're the pretty standard, easy to maintain ones. In terms of things like a Polish MP5, just use a bit of silicone lubricant to clean up the rubber. If you just mean military body armor with plates, you can get something like an ECBA, your man. I don't blame you, Mike. As the title of the stream says, a UVA light. Yep, they work fine. Like a PNV57E will work absolutely fine with an MM1 or a Shums. It wouldn't be a very good optical mask if it didn't work with night vision. I actually prefer Pepsi to Coke. I suppose if it was an option between that sort of Coke and Coca-Cola or Pepsi, I'd probably just go with Coke. I don't know, Mini Clamp. Maybe because one side beat the shit out of another side so hard that they wanted to come to an arrangement. Weirdly, fanmate, as of today in the UK, if you're using public transport, you have to wear a mask. But a lot of people aren't using them. MTP, I would say, is overall better camo. Although DPM is obviously a classic. But, yep, right. Rashad, where you have UV lights, you have three main types of UV light. UVA is what a lot of people would call a black light. It's the stuff that makes stuff glow in the dark. So that's what that is. It's not harmful to the human eye. And it's called UVA, as in UV band length A. You then get UV bandwidth or band length B, which is what's used in sunbeds that tans the skin. You then get UVC, which is germicidal, which basically burns your skin and eyes, but it kills stuff very efficiently. There's also, I think, UVX, which is like even more extreme UV. But in general, with bulbs, you get UVA, UVB, and UVC. If you're ever using them in your house and it's not for a very specific reason, you always want UVA. Yeah, you can use UVA to see scorpions because they fluoresce green. Yeah, I was going to say, yeah, the Union suggested the use of chlorine. I mean, I don't know what would have happened if you'd have had a war where chemical weapons were used before the development of masks would have happened. Would that have just meant both sides would have started doing even worse shit? I mean, it's good that they didn't do it. Obviously bots, but yeah, I think there was some British generals as well around like the late 1800s suggested using chemical weapons in other wars as well, and they thankfully were never used. I don't know if that was like Boer War or something. But I know there's certainly been other wars, as well as the American Civil War, it's been proposed that, militaries use various chemical agents. I mean, yeah, I'm sure, again, masks could have been made, but I'm sure they couldn't have been made to the same scale, which would have made it, even more horrible. What stories about weird people in retail? The weirdest person I ever experienced in retail was the breast milk man. So you can sell in retail stores, some of them, they sell these breast pumps for women that basically when they've had a baby, so they can, fill bottles up with their breast milk to feed to the baby, like bottled breast milk. And some weird old bloke came in and bought one of those breast pumps, and he goes, "Is this a mask I put on my face?" And I go, "No." And he goes, "I'm gonna put it on my face." Um, that was a very, very weird man. Probably mentally disturbed. But yeah, there's some absolutely horrible stories from retail of very, very strange fucking people that come in, or just rude customers. I mean, a lot of the time it's just rude customers, people who swear at you and all that, and you're not allowed to not serve them because you're a lowly employee kind of thing. Weird stories from retail, AJ. I was on about the breast pump man. But yeah, that was one of the weirdest customers I had. "I'm gonna put this on my face." It's just like a weird old man. I mean, you'd often get lots of customers that were buying stuff clearly they had no intention of using, or whatever. What I'm trying to think if there's any others that weren't just like racist or really rude customers. Because you'd often get people that just came in that were absolute cunts, but there isn't anything in those that's all that special. I'm trying to think of like the really, really bizarre customers. I mean, you obviously get some people come in that are so high off their like fucking heads on drugs, it was quite insane. Where you get people that like mid conversation just start spacing out and talking gibberish. But the weirdest one definitely was breast pump on the face bloke. Oh yeah, you get loads of Karens. That's why that story got brought up yesterday. I'm going to complain to the manager. The worst ones are the ones where your manager tells you to deal with a customer in a certain way. You deal with the customer in a certain way. They then complain to the manager, and then the manager goes, "Oh no, they shouldn't have done that. Let me refund this for you." So you get in shit, and the manager doesn't, even though the return policy was that we weren't meant to return something, for example. Yeah, fighting Welsh. That's exactly what he sounded like. Salad fingers, actually. It was very much, like rusty spoons. It was very much that kind of voice. But yeah, it was, "I'm going to put this on my face. Is this an oxygen mask?" But yeah, you'd get loads of customers that would try and bring back an item they can't return, and then have a fit at you because how dare you not return my product for a refund, even though I was told when I bought it I couldn't return it for a refund unless it was faulty. But yeah, that there have been some very strange retail experiences. Oh yeah, he bought it. He bought it and he used it. Thankfully, he didn't try and bring it back. Whether or not that was because he suffocated himself using it, or it was because he derived great sexual pleasure from putting a breast pump on his face. I don't know. Mini Clamp says, "I like it when the red water comes out." Yeah, that's what I was thinking, like. Yeah. But yeah, very, very bizarre people. I mean, you'd get customers as well where, you knew they were buying stuff and they shouldn't be buying that stuff, but, it's not your job to give moral judgments on what a customer's buying. For this stream, Henry, or for a future stream? What, making milk from his lungs? Oh, the racist ones were just cunts. The cringy kid, Less said about them, the better. They were cunts. Nobody liked them. That's probably why they abused random people. What the fuck is an anal surgery fetish? It's... I can kind of imagine, but I don't want to. Anal surgery fetish. Yeah. I'm not gonna Google it, but... Is it like the human centipede or something? Because that's technically, like, I guess, anal surgery, isn't it? No. Somebody got blocked for saying stuff like that, Daniel, the other day, so don't ask me to Google weird porn terms. It's for this stream. Okay, let me open Discord and hope it doesn't time out. Henry says... he says, what about we'll say a kind of gas and you'll list out the mask or filter that suits all the items to protect against it? You could do that, but the problem is if you said any chemical weapons, you can literally just say one of the best, masks with a NBC filter on it. Sadly, I think there will be a second wave of COVID, especially because the UK government has now abandoned all its plans of slow reopening under conditions to just start reopening stuff because we don't want the economy to suffer. Mustard gas. Any modern military respirator with... I suppose mustard gas itself, is it acidic vapor? Because does sulfur mustard fall under... Is it inorganic vapor or acidic vapor? But regardless, you'd want a combination filter. In Vietnam itself, maybe an AK. In terms of the two guns in general, the M16. Well, filters certainly could definitely defend themselves against mustard gas because, in World War One, all the masks didn't get broken, all the filters get broken because of sulfur mustard. Yeah, I'm sure there's going to be a second spike from all the protests recently, AJ, and the bank holiday stuff, and Cummings breaking the rules and everything. It's just probably going to be that they're slow to report on it or whatever. Is this a mask I put on my face? When you answer no, and then he just says, I'm going to put it on my face, it's a bit worrying. But he did pay for it, and he didn't bring it back, so... You'd need an NBC suit as well for mustard gas in terms of not damaging your skin. But in terms of the mask and filter, you wouldn't need an NBC suit in terms of at the mask end. Basically, Scotland, Wales, Northern Ireland are all doing things slightly differently than the UK. So whether or not that's a good or bad thing, time will tell. AJ says, that voice is going to keep me awake at night. I didn't even think it was Salad Fingers when I started it, but he did sound very similar to Salad Fingers. Yeah, I could do a video game discussion stream. I think it was Henry that might have asked me about could I stream, video games again at some point. I said if I get OBS all sorted out, I wouldn't mind streaming some of the Command and Conquer remake. Was that a series made about the Novichok incident? No, I've not watched that. Rusty spoons, says Hilitbang. Yeah, Roland, if you look below the video in the description, there should be a Teespring link. There should be a Patreon. I'm not a fan of the PMK one, I'm afraid, mod. Or Moed. I don't know someone. I don't even have any CFF-free filters. I know they're just very popular on the surplus market at the moment, aren't they? Okay, so choosing between an M1 Garand of a 1911, an SVT-40 and a TT-30, Sturmgewehr 44 and a Luger PO8 or a British Enfield. The Sturmgewehr 44 and the Luger, unless it's at very, very far range. But I used to sometimes stream Stronghold, Daniel, totally accurate battle simulator, a lot of Stalker. It would depend what country you're in, I imagine, Vex. Sadly, not in the UK. VX would require full NBC gear, basically, because it touches your skin, you're fucked. I'm not a fan of the PMK, I'm afraid. The Wild West update's pretty good. I was playing some of that recently. I mean, they all go like, don't know, that's how they basically talk to like the weird little morph people in that. I lick the shums, do I? What, a shirt with a tongue licking a shums? Is this the Battle Royale tabs thing? Because Bart was telling me about this. It was a joke game, but apparently people keep playing it. Yeah, AK is just basically a child soldier can operate it, and they do, sort of gun. That's why so many people like it. I haven't actually even looked at it yet, but it does sound interesting if it's like totally accurate battle simulators, really weird movement system with the floppy kind of ragdoll people. Have a look at the background, Roland, and guess. Alright, cool, AJ. I'll see you on Mike's stream then tomorrow, if you're on tomorrow, and he's on tomorrow. I'll be on tonight, but that's because most evenings Twitch is just something fun to chat with people. But Mystic Gamer also says he's going to put it on my face. I think you need a combination of like a particle filter and a vapor filter for that fighting Welsh, like maybe an A2P3. Because I know with a lot of tear gas stuff, people are saying when it's mixed with stuff, it will get through filters all right. I can imagine ASMR streams get very strange comments. I think Mike's just streaming Final Fantasy at the moment, Henry, which is an interesting game to watch. It's a good game for chatting on because it's quite easy for Mike to play and chat at the same time. Yeah, I keep seeing people go, oh, will these airsoft masks protect me from, like, gases? No. Oh, okay, right, I won't see you on Twitch tomorrow then, Mike, but I will see you on there tonight. What day is it today? Monday? Tuesday? I don't even know. Monday. Okay, today's Monday. I am really losing track of time now with all this fucking, like, lockdown bullshit. Is the L2 one the one-piece one or the two-piece one, Wolfie? If it's the two-piece one, it's not too bad, but it's still not really fast. Right, you can get a shout-out if I can pronounce your name. So is that Istvan Seuss? That's probably not how your name's pronounced at all. Sturgeon19 says, the feeling of rust against my salad fingers is quite orgasmic. He didn't say the last bit, but that's what the word is. I prefer rubberized NBC suits. They're less comfortable, but they're very easy. You know, they don't really go off. No, airsoft things don't really do anything. Nitrous F Blaze says he doesn't want to ask for a shout out. Is that reverse logic there? Probably those good aluminium bolts, Fangsterno, or aluminum bolts, whatever you want to call them. But I don't actually know what their name is, because I think more than one company makes them. But you know, the aluminium bolts that have like the plastic back section, because they're generally quite cheap on mass, and they're a lot better than the plastic bolts. Half face respirators are very practical as long as you're not using them, for something that needs a full face application. That's probably a very stupid answer I just gave you there, but basically for most people they're a lot more practical. For serious use, not as practical. Yeah, but I've done a video on the L1 and the L2, so I can't even remember now. L2 is the one-piece one, isn't it? Because I think that's the weird thing. The L1 is the two-piece one. The L2 is the one-piece suit. L2s aren't that practical. I mean, in terms of is it good enough as a suit? Yes, but they kind of a bit slow to do up. When it comes to rubber NBC suits, like 7 out of 10. When it comes to NBC suits, like 4 or 5 out of 10. Well, they weren't very smart, were they, Mystic Gamer? Yeah, things like flashlights and IR lights and all that fighting Welsh, I'd agree. But yeah, not when it comes to like airsoft replica helmets and that, which are just bits of plastic compared to which are more expensive than the actual Milsurp they rip off. Right, Henry, let me click the link and make sure I hope I don't regret it. I would assume that's some weird cyberpunk thing, is it? Assuming it's not a real thing that's just aged horribly. Oh, it's actually got stamps on it. US M1. Either it's some weirdly deformed US half face respirator, or it's some weird cyberpunk thing. Or steampunk, you know what I mean? But they cost way too much, English Dalek. If you like the idea of paying several grand for a deactivated gun, then go for it. Personally, I don't see the point. Not that I can think of off the top of my head, Nitrous. I'm sure I have had bad service in some places, but a lot of the time it's just, they gave you the thing you didn't order. Right, there we go. Bots has answered you. He said, it's an American M1 dust respirator missing the FOUT filters. So he's answered you there. It's quite a weird looking thing, though, from that. But yeah. So yeah, tomorrow I definitely need to get a video filmed. I'm really hoping some of my stuff I've got on order might come so I can do videos on that, but I bet it doesn't. Oh, thank you very much, Ninos. I appreciate that. He says, hey, you. Yeah, thank you. Other than suggesting eBay and hardware stores for filters, I don't really know what to suggest. If you're putting them on 40mm NATO masks and you can get CFF freeze cheaply, you might as well get CFF freeze. It's just over here they never really turn up, so I've never really bought any to review. Yeah, I would agree with you. For most people, you don't want heavy NBC suits because the likelihood you're ever going to need them is pretty low. Right, the videos I filmed, which oh, you're on behind my hand. There you go. The videos I filmed but aren't live yet. One is on the OZK suit. What's the other one on? Soviet OZK suit and the Martini Henry working with the snap caps. I'm tempted to do a video of a sword compilation, or all my Diak guns sort of compiled, and the inert guns and everything else again. Weirdly, if you didn't hear, I literally said the video on Friday is about the OZK suit. Yeah, I basically, AJ, if you mean, do I make videos ahead of when they're going on? Yes. Have I ever done a behind the scenes video? Not as far as I'm aware. I probably could do one at some point going like, this is Sony Vegas. Well, they don't call it Sony Vegas anymore, do they? Call it Vegas Movie Studio 16 Platinum Steam Edition. I mean, I suppose I could show stuff like that, but yeah, for the most part, it's quite boring. I get my camcorder, I film a video, I edit it ever so slightly, and then I stick it on. I've got a few nitrous, but I don't really like collecting them, other than a few camo things. I've got some old East German gear. Yeah, well, we've said about that, haven't we, Harazumu? It came up the other day. Can Oz says Turkish student lives matter? Turkish students being murdered or something? Is this a protest? I don't know. That's pretty cool, Roland. Ronald. I would love to have a what's it bunker like Surviving the Apocalypse has a Royal Observer Corps bunker. Well, at some point, Nitrous, I am going to do a video on a post-apocalyptic traffic warden outfit. Maybe I'll film that tomorrow to go on Sunday. Seeing as I have a very similar coat, I've got the hat, I've got the bandage. Maybe ask your nan on forums where people are really into collecting medals. I don't know. I actually got round to making a traffic warden mask the other day, which is some old sheets cut into the right size, glued together, and then like artificially stained to look old and horrible. If you had an FP5 filter that was in date, probably a few hours, depending on which chemical agent it's exposed to. The mask is in the other room, Nitrous, so I won't get the mask out. The hat has been seen loads of times on the streams. I can't show you the SLR on the stream, even though it'll be in the video. I'd say my most rare masks, Istvan, are probably not my XM28s, my two British C7 masks I've got. What do you mean, sorry, Ninos, the say 10 to 12H? What do you mean? Strangest mask I own. I'm trying to think about like weird historical masks rather than just having like masks that were made by some Chinese company and don't even work. Yeah, speaking of that, as Istvan says, I've got an old Polish mask actually that's got a windscreen wiper on the front, which is quite cool. Oh, what, as in the filter's meant to last 10 to 12 hours? Oh, thank you. Right, I'll be off in a minute. I know I've only been on about 50 minutes, but next time I stream, I'm definitely going to have to think of a theme for it. Yeah, I definitely agree with you there, Mike. If you've not seen them before, yeah, cheek filter masks look very old, especially things like the Chinese, is it M65 or the giant tumor cheek? That's all right, Don Pedro. The thing is, you don't have to agree with everything I say, but the thing is, the reason I wanted to make that is just because you get lots and lots of weirdos that seem to think like, oh, you're a neo-Nazi and you have the same ideology as us. Like, no, fuck off, I really don't. No, AJ, because I want my eyes to survive, and UVC would be even more out of the question. There's one in the background there. If you mean a World War II style helm, yes, I do, but it's missing its liner and it's very rusty. I could probably do a David Fur theme stream, even though I don't know if that's breaking copyright things, but Salad Fingers I'm nowhere near as clued up on as Jerry Jackson and Burnt Face Man. So, you know, if we were going to quote Jerry Jackson, that would be a lot easier, but Miss John, more like miscarriage. Jerry, I do not think that joke was acceptable. What did you mean by that? I mean, your mum was Fat John. Oh, yes, she is. Sturgeon19 says Jerry Jackson is probably the best ever. Yeah, I would agree. Jerry Jackson is the best ever. It is like the most funny cartoon ever, and Jerry is so brilliant. That's why we all love him. Mini Clamp says, "Are you a crime? A criminal?" There is a Pope over there. Quick, grab him. Oh, he got away. Throw him in the crushy bin. But yeah, Jerry Jackson. I just really like Jerry Jackson just because it's quite funny and offensive, but it's not really it's not done in an offensive way to be hurtful, is it? It's just done in a really stupid way, you know. Although I suppose I have to be careful because if I cut the wrong bit of a Jerry Jackson cartoon now, it would be really horrible. Right, see you, bots. Have fun with your shooting. I'm going off in a minute anyway. But cool. I've not actually watched any of his streams. I did see he put some streams on, but I've not watched them. I might check those out, AJ. They sound good. But yeah, I'd not actually ever thought to look at them. But what else has David Firth done? Because I know he's done lots of like weird little one-off cartoons. Obviously, Salad Fingers, Jerry Jackson, and Burnt Face Man are like the ones I'm most familiar with. He did that quite. What was it called? Cream or something he did a while ago. That was quite good. It was like a 20-minute sort of weird film or whatever it was. Yeah, I've played Company of Heroes 2, etc. I'm pretty sure it's called UVA, not UAV. Let me double check. Yeah, it is UVA. I did say it right. I watch the Russian one, Jesus, sometimes when that's on. Right, see everybody. Yeah, I might just head off now. So I'll see you on Twitch at 10 then, Mike. Well, regarding Fallout New Vegas, I don't know if I've got it installed at the moment. I played loads of it a while ago, but you know, I've not played any in a while because I've been playing House Flipper and Command and Conquer Remastered. You know, and things nobody else would ever want to watch me stream. I'll definitely stream Command and Conquer Remastered at some point. As in UV band A light, Don Pedro. Like purple glow in the dark lights, basically. Right, cool. See you all. I'll be on Mike's stream later on in about an hour's time. So see you then. Goodbye.